Hello there, it's Mike.
And Katie.
It's episode 155.
The one with Spies, Thieves, and Cowboys.
This week on Cup of Rad. Hey everyone, it's been about a minute or two or a week or two.
We've lost track.
The other week we just had too many things going on and we weren't able to come with an episode for you. We actually didn't watch any movies the prior week.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Everything
no TV, nothing. It was just a really weird week. I guess it's the decompression after the Halloween.
Well, we spent a day starting to try to get prep for Christmas, and we had an early shopping day, so that played chaos.
That's true.
In movie watching, plus there was nothing going on, but at the same time,
well, we didn't come up with a theme, and that's what's really.
And we just lost track. We're like, totally. We don't have a theme. Screw it.
Yeah. So, and also too, last week was when Animal Crossing hit with all the DLC and all that, and Kiddo could care less about being around us.
Yeah. Oh, you've gotten way into that too.
No, I'm not saying I hadn't.
He hadn't played Animal Crossing since Christmas 2020. He played, I think, for one day in Carnival time. I think that was it. And then it was nothing. And then even myself, I took months and months and months of it off. I still had my winter stuff in my house. And then this is hit. And now we're all, arguing over who has Animal Crossing time. But it's been fun. I mean, it shows the difference for it, right?
Yeah. So, oh, yeah.
It's the big thing in the Cup of Red household right now.
Pretty much. So it's an entire Animal Crossing episode.
Yes. Aren't you excited? Welcome to our life where everything involves all the minute details.
Yeah, no. No. We're getting ready for Christmas because, I don't know if you've been out there lately, but it's, insane. We were out there, 2 weeks ago, and it was hell. It was, what?
It was just a week ago.
Okay, it was a week ago.
Yes, time is, oddly...
But,
yeah, I know. Either way.
It was hell.
It was the mall parking lot, it wasn't as busy inside as I thought it was based on the outside parking lot, but it was terrifying. Yeah, so different than what we've been used to.
Because we had to actually go for other things too. So then we were combining, trying to figure out some things, and we just saw things, and we were just we need to get this done ASAP. Because oh my god,
I'm so glad we didn't have Kiddo with us because it just would have been worse.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that was cool. Luckily,
so we've been making our plans and figuring out what we can and can't get, just to try to get it done, because I think we're gonna do one mall trip in early December and then we're done.
That's it.
Because I haven't been to that mall you haven't been to that mall since COVID started.
Yeah,
you haven't at all. I've been once for a half an hour, and.
So that's pretty wild. That's going to be a wild experience. My anxiety will probably
see if he just completely has a panic attack and hangs out in the corner. But
fetal position.
We will be there when it opens. That is a guarantee.
So I want a ukulele this year.
Yes, that's a thing. He wants an electric Fender Stratocaster ukulele. They exist.
They exist, and they look at me. They have a Jazz Master.
Yeah.
The name alone makes me want it. Jazz Master. That's amazing. No, I want to learn a skill. I want to learn, and I figure a ukulele is not the Fender one. You can get them a little bit more economical, of course.
You do realize I'm having a really hard time not buying that one for you, right?
Oh, I want it bad, though. Jazz Master.
No, not the Jazz Master one.
What?
Just the Stratocaster.
The Stratocaster? Yeah. What's wrong with the Jazz Master, though?
And I don't know, because you say that every time.
Let me break out my Jazz Master.
Right?
Actually, the Billie Eilish one is really pretty, but it's $400.
It's gorgeous. But see, the problem is it's not just the couple $100 for the ukulele. If it was that level, then it's all the amplifier and all that sort of stuff.
But you don't need it for it.
I know you don't need it.
It's both, so you could start and then
you can
lead up
me,
to
right?
it.
I'm looking at that. Then that's the closest you can get to guitar mic.
And then birthday could be the amp.
Oh,
so I could have rock and roll.
You don't bring the family in on this one.
I don't necessarily. I don't have the dexterity, I think, for a guitar because of my shoulder injury, and I'm noticing that my shoulder injury is starting to act up a lot more. meaning I have to get back to my fitness because that's when it was not acting up.
Yeah.
But I want to learn a skill that I can use that's kind of like not technology based so much in the like something to do, you know,
a hobby of
something other than taking pictures and just like something I can sit back and
then
enjoy.
We can create cup of rad music.
Yeah, if I learn how to play that fairly well, then you know it'll be kind of fun to have. I can make our own theme song because I want to make a theme song and I can make my own then.
Yeah. A little jingle.
Yeah, a little. It might be every couple of years from now, but because you don't want Baba Black Sheep as the cover.
No, Peace Dragon.
Yeah, that's like in every book. I was looking up books and I was like, yeah. So I won't sing though. I just.
Neither will I.
Nice.
I don't sing.
Solemn, but anyways,
in front of anyone.
We looked at the. I was looking at they had the Fender, they had the electric ones, and they can hook up to like the sound pedals and all that, and like it didn't even sound like a ukulele anymore. It just sounded like a guitar.
I know. I'm like listening to this. I'm like, this just sounds like a guitar. This is amazing.
Yeah, that's on my Christmas list. Of course, like there's toys, but like I want to learn a skill.
There's more toys on Mike's Christmas list as usual than there is on Kiddo's Christmas list.
There's more toys on my list than most people's lists.
True. I think, and that's been like forever. I think Mike's Christmas list always has more toys.
Yeah.
Than Kiddo's.
Because I am truly a kid at heart.
You are. Yeah.
Truly am. So
I'm giving you ideas this year. I'm not so much like in the.
That's true. Not so much. Yeah. The ukulele is my step to adulthood. It is.
It is.
It totally is.
Yeah. Okay. I can take that. I will accept.
I will accept
your truth.
But yeah, you know, we'd like
midlife crisis ukulele.
There is worse things that I could have a midlife crisis for. I could like want a sports car, which would be really out of sync for me.
You have a few years for mine, by the way. Figure that one out.
That's when the podcast ends and Katie leaves because she's gonna go crazy when she has her midlife crisis. It'll just be like you'll just listen to me playing my sad ukulele. Katie has left and gone away.
You know what? Instantly, as soon as Kiddo heard something about ukulele, he's like, then I can play like I can be like Animal Crossing and be like KK. Like,
yeah.
Oh God. No. Kiddo does know how to play ukulele a bit, or he did.
Yeah. So didn't think you'd step on and be like, hey, we're gonna talk about ukuleles.
You never knew that. But you know what I am gonna talk about and comment on because I'm drinking this way too fast? We're having a cold brew black lager again from Old Yale Brewery. Oh my God. It's so good right now. Like it's like so happy.
Oh, we had the Fraser Valley lager the other night, and I was like pounding that.
Why is beer so good?
Because it is a magical elixir of the gods.
It is, and it's unfair. It's so good.
Speaking of getting back to health, here's a beer.
Stop drinking beer, Katie. Oh my God.
Fair enough.
At least we're out of tequila.
Yeah, right.
Regardless.
So this past week it was Disney Plus Day, and a lot of things dropped on Disney Plus. One thing that we weren't expecting to watch that we ended up watching was
Olaf Presents. So I saw the first one because I loved his storytelling, like his recap for the movie in Frozen 2. And I saw the Little Mermaid one as the first one. I was like, okay, I'm curious. I got to watch this, right?
They're like 4 minutes.
Yeah. And then by watching that, we ended up watching all of them.
Yeah, there's like, I think 5.
Yeah. Out of all of them, the Little Mermaid one was by far the best.
Yeah, it was the best.
I was hysterical. Like, it's so perfect. It's this awesome satire pointing out the ridiculousness of some of the movie parts. And if you can't laugh at it, then I don't know, that you need to get off a little bit of a high horse, in my opinion. Like, I love Little Mermaid. It's my absolute favorite Disney movie. And I will defend it in its wonderful glory. But this was hilarious pointing out. Like, it was just...
I think my favorite part was when he's playing Trident. And King Trident, sorry.
It's all huge.
He's all jacked, and he's like, I hate all your garbage. You're a garbage collector like your mother. And he kicks something over. Like...
Right?
That's something I never thought of with the movie. Like, that's where it went.
Where someone takes that, right? Where it's like, is that why he's actually angry about all this stuff? Like, because we don't know what happened.
Right? But yeah, they're actually pretty funny. They're the 4-minute
and I
shorts.
love how it's like, oh yeah, you totally have my best intentions at heart, right? Like, yeah, exactly. It's pointing out the ridiculous.
I'm a sea witch.
Why she was ever okay, in any trusting like this. I mean, no, she was a teenager making terrible judgment.
Yep.
Like absolutely atrocious. And yeah, I love that. His commentary on it was great. He played so many different characters and so well for it all.
Oh, yeah. Like, because it goes on the fact that it's the same background and everything as the other Olaf shorts that they did during COVID.
Yeah.
So it's just the same idea where it feels like he probably was still at home and they were just recording stuff, and then they were, who knows? This could have all been outtakes that he just went on a...
Yeah, he just went on a tangent.
And they were like, right? Wait, maybe we could do this, right? So...
I'm thoroughly impressed with Josh Gad. Like, just the way he can express with Olaf all these different... This character is just so lively and so rich in what he brings to the character, it's wonderful. So
the Lion King one gets dark.
Oh my God. Like so dark.
It's like
so dark.
It doesn't. It's not even funny anymore.
Like it was just dark.
You're just like, we're literally looking at each other like, oh my God.
You know what's funny? So Kiddo, this was the movie when he was little. He couldn't get past it. He couldn't watch the movie because he couldn't get past Mufasa's death and that whole scene. And this here was like experiencing it through Kiddo's eyes.
Yeah.
This is exactly what a little kid would have seen, and it was just like, oh shit, this is terrifying. And then he fell, but then he's not dead yet. And then
he's run over by wildebeest.
But then he's not dead yet. I'm like, oh my God. And then you realize how many times he
finally escapes, and then his brother throws him.
And I love that. And then we slow motion fight.
Yeah.
Oh, that was my second favorite one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good time.
The Tangled one was pretty good. The Aladdin one was a little weak.
The Aladdin one was my least favorite.
Yeah.
Because it was weird.
Maybe is there only 4?
And then there was the Moana one.
Oh, Moana was pretty funny, but it's fast.
Yeah, it went by super quick.
Yeah. Yes, there's 5 then.
But it was a good bit of mocking on it.
I think it actually makes fun of Moana the most.
Yeah, it's not as kind-hearted about it. It's a little bit more like, oh, we know this. Like, how many times do you have to tell us?
So I'd be curious to see if they do more, if this does well for them. But yeah it was pretty.
His smolder made me cringe from Tangled though. That was awesome.
I was surprised he didn't drool when he's doing it. That's what funny. Like the.
Well, especially with his teeth and everything. So I was thoroughly amused.
So Olaf Presents. It's on Disney Plus. It's definitely funny. If you don't have to watch all of them, but they also have the ability to watch all of them in one go too. There's
if you just go to the last episode, then there's a whole schmozzle of it.
Yeah. So they also had the Disney Plus Anniversary Simpsons episode.
Oh yes.
And I cannot believe that Disney allowed this short to happen,
right? Like kudos to them
for allowing, like they put some stuff in there that you're just kind of like, oh,
I want to watch it again only because there's so much going on, like so many characters in there. But
like they literally have Goofy drinking, like it's not even. So I think they get away with it because they don't use the legacy voices at all.
Yeah,
it's Simpsons actors.
Sound like
right, which is. I was kind of hoping that it would have been Bill Farmer because that would have been hilarious.
He probably would have done it, no problem.
Oh yeah,
but then it's very clearly Simpsons sounds.
Yeah. So, but it was a pretty good. It's another one. It's only like 4 minutes long, but it's pretty funny.
So much going on in it.
Yeah.
So
very busy, but pretty awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was quite funny. Homer and Goofy bond over some Duff beer. So that was pretty good times.
So then we found something else on Disney Plus. It dropped in Disney Plus Day. This one here, steeped in fan controversy, I guess you would say.
Of course,
because it's a brand new Disney Plus original film that came out. That's not a remake, not a reboot. It's actually a sequel. Mm-hmm. We're going to start that with that. This is a sequel to Home Alone.
Mm-hmm. The Home Alone original in general series.
Yeah.
It's
now you got to remember too, Home Alone actually had like 6 films in it. Most people only remember Home Alone and Home Alone 2.
I only thought there was a couple of them.
No, Fox had done, like, people are mad at Disney for doing Home Sweet Home Alone.
And Fox just ran it into the ground.
Fox did like Yeah, they even did a prequel movie.
Yeah, because there was
that
one
was-
with
Well, they also did a prequel. Like they've got like two or three that aren't McAllister.
yeah.
But they did do a prequel that was McAllister,
Really?
right? So making then, which I would think would make then that ruining your childhood with the
Yeah.
first one because it wasn't the first time it happened.
Yeah.
But anyways, this here is just another movie within the Home Alone universe. It takes place many years after. Home Sweet Home Alone. Now, one of the reasons why I was interested in watching this was because a couple SNL writers are actually credited for writing this movie. One of them, which is Mikey Day, and he did the David S. Pumpkin stuff.
Mikey Day is hilarious.
And he kind of comes across a bit like a Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they wrote this one. So it's Home Sweet Home Alone. We're going to take a look at that now. So the movie stars, not starts. Archie Yates. He was in Jojo Rabbit. He was the friend.
Yes.
He plays Max Mercer, the Home Alone child in question.
Yes.
Rob Delaney and Ellie Kepner. You'll remember her from Kimmy Schmidt and The Office. They play the Mackenzies, Pam and Jeff.
So yeah, Jeff here he's lost his job, and they basically are secretly have their house on the market because they can't afford it on just the one salary, but of course they don't want to move. And he finds out he has this old collection of creepy old porcelain dolls from his mom, and he finds out that this one it was like a manufacturing error.
It was upside down.
It was upside down head. It was worth a couple $100,000. And when they were doing this open house, the kid and his mom stopped by the open house because he needs to use the restroom and they're too far from home. So they end up there, and so he ends up having this. That's how they interact, and they have this meeting. And the next day, then they have some family. His brother shows up, and this extended family who's very well off, very much, without realizing it, rubbing their wealth in their faces, right? And so this is all going on. They're already a little strung out and crazy. And then he's going to sell this doll, and it's missing. And he believes that the kid had stolen the doll.
Yeah, because the kid made fun of him for having the doll.
Yeah.
And then, so there was an exchange between them where, you can see that the kid is a bit of a snot-nosed brat.
Yeah.
So it's a different take on the Home Alone because it actually ends up painting out the robbers in a more cleaner, more light.
Because they're not trying to actually what they're trying to do is get their doll back.
Yeah.
They're not trying to actually steal or cause any harm or anything like that.
Yeah.
Right.
So you find out that it's kind of the same thing where the house is full of people and they're all going on a trip, and that's how they find out they're leaving. Well, so they think that everyone's pieced out and it's going to be empty, and they know where the key is, and he hears the lock code.
Yeah. So he's just like, oh, everyone's gone. We're just going to walk in. We're going to get the doll and we're going to leave. Well, then when he goes in there, he messes up the alarm code, and and of course he's panicking about all of this stuff, and chaos
ensues.
And he doesn't feel good about doing this either. He freaks out and tries to leave.
Because and you find out that the kid had gotten mad and pieced out into the car, and he fell asleep in the car, and they've had this because the family's going to Japan. So it's that's like the most similar idea of Home Alone. Now you find out too that they're nods to the old one. McAllister security system. So in this world, I'm assuming then Kevin went off and became a security system
so he
designer. His brother Buzz is a police officer.
He is the police officer that ends up coming to the house when the alarm had gone off. And
he discredits it because apparently Kevin calls him every year to prank call him about a house that the kid's been left behind, right?
Yes. So it's the...
so it shows that...
believe it at all.
Yeah, right? So you've got the hijinks, and you've got all the zany pratfalls and the
so what happened? The reason why the kid ends up actually going on the defense when he finds out they're trying to get into the house is because Jeff had made a comment and a joke to him about how this the doll was not worth as much as what he had gotten when he sold his own kids.
Yeah.
And so he makes this joke at the kid. Well, then the kid hears that, and he assumes, because they never say they're going after the doll. They say they're looking for the ugly boy. Well, the ugly boy is the doll.
We're going to sell the ugly boy to some old granny. We're going to get $200,000 for it, and she's going to live in a closet.
They're trying to human traffic him.
Yeah.
And so, by all means, he goes on the defense. So it was a really interesting take. What was one of the nods? The kids were watching a movie.
Oh yeah, they're watching a remake of the gangster movie, and it's all science fiction. And the one brother says, the remake is never as good as the original.
Yeah,
right. So it was pretty funny.
Well, I like it because overall, this movie, it was a different take where
Home Alone still exists. Home Alone 2 still exists.
Yeah, because Buzz actually even specifically states that it had happened twice.
Yeah.
And so he makes comment about the fact that, we've actually done this before and everything like this. So it doesn't trample on it at all. It doesn't taint the originals whatsoever. It's not a complete copy because it's still the same concepts. It's different jokes into the house, more
modern in the take of like some of the stuff that's happening within the attacks upon the criminals and all.
Exactly,
right? And
it's interesting because with this, it is kind of nice that you want them to, like, there's still some corniness and it was still over dramatic and overacting for their falls, but it was funny. It was body humor.
It's slapstick comedy.
It's slapstick comedy, exactly. And there was a few times where I'm like, oh my God, start talking. Like, stop getting so angry about wanting to stop this little kid and tell him what you're there for. Yeah. And then it shows that once they use their words, everything calms down.
Yeah.
But you kind of... It's that in between where you don't quite know who you want to succeed, right? You want the guys to get their doll back and to actually be able to,
because it's their like lifeline.
It's what's going to save their house, right? And
the kid's never been nice enough, so you're just kind of like just knock them out, like,
right? Like, oh my goodness! So you actually are rooting for the couple, to actually get this doll back more than anything, right? But you understand at the same time why the kid's so freaked out, so. But there was some really, I think, extra too with them being a couple. Mm-hmm. So extra humor that was funnier with them being married than them just being a couple friends, right? So I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I laughed more at it than I expected.
Yeah, like it was hysterical.
There was a lot of good...
And Kiddo really enjoyed it too. And he loves Home Alone.
Yeah, and I'll say too, is it as polished as Home Alone? Does it have as much heart? No.
Yes.
It still felt like a direct-to-video movie. But that being said, I still enjoy... I think I enjoyed this more than Home Alone 2. Mm-hmm. Only for the fact that it was a different story. Because Home Alone 2 is pretty much the same story, just in a hotel in New York.
Yeah.
Idea, right? Where this here took it on a different thought process, which I thought was really cool. Like, it was really interesting to have a different side of it and just explore that idea differently. It definitely feels more like it was made for the adults. Versus the kids. Yeah. But it has so much ridiculous, childish humor in it that I think it works good for kids. Is it going to change your life? No. Yeah. Home Alone would never have changed anything, Is it as classic? No. Yeah. I think it's still somewhat forgettable, but it was enjoyable. Like, I have no problem possibly watching it again in the future, right? It's not like, oh my God, what did I just watch? I laughed enough to be like, yeah, you know what? I can see myself watching this again. Yeah. Right. And still laughing at some of the stuff.
Well, because, you're right. It definitely had more heart. Because you're rooting for the couple to get this doll because they're feeling that pull of losing their house. All that feel that a kid's not going to be able to relate to. They're because she's having flashbacks of raising her kids and all the Christmas memories and all that sort of stuff. And that pulls at your heartstrings of seeing that. And the horrible of losing their job and not finding his skill, and so you're really rooting for them. So that was a fun take for it. Yeah. So it's definitely a different feel, right?
Totally. So you know what? I was pleasantly surprised with it. I I look forward to seeing what else Mikey Day writes, because I think he has a promising career as a writer for comedy, especially in this genre, because it wasn't stupid enough.
Yeah.
Humor.
I was never like, oh my God.
It was, yeah, there was never like almost the baby-esque humor, like the lower brow humor. Like there was only one fart joke in the whole thing, but it was actually really funny because you could totally see it happening too as an adult.
We actually saw it. We saw it like set up, and we're like, oh, I hope this doesn't happen. That would really suck. Oh, it happened. Yeah, that would totally happen.
Yeah. But yeah, if you like slapstick comedy and you like watching people get hurt, Home Sweet Home Alone.
Sorry, one last comment. One thing that was interesting take, just I guess Home Alone itself, like I'm just so used to the mess that he creates in it, where I'm just, the rest of it you're just like, oh yeah, that's just what has to happen. Of course, you really feel okay with him causing all this mess because he's actually trying to save himself from being hurt, right? Opposed to this, where there's so much unnecessary of him setting these traps because you just want to scream at him like they're not trying to hurt you, right? Yeah. But the mess that he makes...
They at least comment on it.
They at least comment on it, though, right? Because the mom and me was just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, this is a disaster. This is so terrible.
Well, because he goes to the extreme. Like, Kevin never...
He only blocked the entrances.
There would have been a few damage here and there.
Yeah.
But, like, there was stuff in this where, like...
It was, like, atrocious damage. And that was just like, oh my God.
He's trying to make me a sugar cookie. We'll leave that for you.
So, anyways, yes, I would recommend.
Yeah, if you got kids too, it's a fun watch with your kids, and it's a great way to start the holiday season.
Exactly.
You know, so because it's not Christmassy enough to really be like, oh God, we're watching a Christmas movie, but it's just on the bicuspid of getting it. So, Home Sweet Home Alone on Disney Plus. See, and this is where my ukulele will come in handy. I could play a scene.
You can play a little intro, yeah. And we're back.
No, so we dude. Spies.
Yes.
Bond.
The ultimate spy.
James Bond. That's right. James Bond came back a couple months ago. And we waited to see him. We waited till he showed up on demand.
Because it's a long-ass movie.
It's almost 3 hours long. And the Daniel Craig Bonds have been hit and miss for us. To the point of, I remember getting very drowsy the last time I rewatched one of them.
Yes.
So
he was not about to pay for it in theater.
Nope. I needed to be at home and cozy. So, No Time to Die.
And we thought, you know what? We haven't watched a movie with Kiddo for a while. We're going to introduce him to James Bond.
Yep. This is how we did it. This is how we introduced Kiddo to James Bond.
Yep. Because
you know what? Nothing says James Bond than a 3-hour conclusion to a forquel.
Right. Well, he likes long movies.
He likes long dramatic movies.
So...
You know, it was actually pretty funny. I was like, so you want to watch James Bond? What's it about? Spies. Okay.
Yeah. It wasn't difficult to convince him.
And I figured, why not? And if anything, if this got him into it, you know, we can go back and watch other ones because there are more action-packed ones within it. So, No Time to Die is Daniel Craig's last outing as Bond. Mm-hmm. It's the end of his rebooted universe of the James Bond saga, as we say. And it, well...
And Mike is stumbling. Words. Where
do we go from here? So,
well, okay, so this is still the connection of, you know what I feel for James Bond, for Daniel Craig's Bond? He's always wants a way out of being James Bond.
Yeah.
That's what I'm feeling, right? Which I dislike because I want him to be firmly planted in I'm a kick-ass spy and I love what I do.
Yeah.
So I've not liked him always looking for a way out. That would be my biggest complaint for the series overall, which is why I like Casino Royale the most, because he wasn't in that I want out of this.
Yeah, he just wanted to be
He just wanted to be an agent, right? Yeah.
I guess getting your nuts crushed kind of changed
his soul, right? So he's like, why the hell am I doing this?
First outing out, and I got my balls squashed, so hey.
Whatever.
How do I get out of this?
So it starts slow. It does start slow with him very much in love with Madeline, which we had seen from the prior movie.
Which I had totally forgotten.
Yeah. Well, it didn't start with that. I guess it started with Madeline's past.
Yes.
And it started with that, with violence and scariness. But when the scariness
started with violence and scariness, and at that moment, you should have been hooked.
Well, you know what was interesting? We wanted to do as a kid. I'm like, nothing like introducing him to a movie where it shows the child is horribly scared by this stranger coming
in a mask
and slaughtering his mom and leaving her to die.
So this is James Bond.
This is James Bond movie.
That was the bad guy.
Have fun. Oh my goodness. But then so with the introduction to Bond himself, then in the current is quite slow. But then when the action does ramp up, all of a sudden we have an explosion. All of a sudden, the bad guys. Then it got pretty.
That
intense.
opening scene was the best scene of the movie for me.
Yeah,
because not the best. There was a second scene that was really awesome too. But it was one of my favorite scenes because of the when they get in the car and they're driving, and we actually finally in the Craig universe get the spy car, right?
He's so calm and
and he's just zipping around. Like when he runs back to get her before he gets the spy car, and he gets on his like motorcycle and he was like jumping the walls and stuff. I was like, shit, that's some cool stuff.
Yeah, well, and even Kiddo was like, whoa,
right? Like jumps over the wall with that dirt bike, and it just looked cool. Like it just looked amazing. Yeah. And then when you get in the car, and then when all the guys circle the car, and they're shooting it and they're breaking through the
that was really intense,
right? And then when he finally like flips a switch and the little Gatling guns pop out of the lights of the car and he just lights it up, and I was just like, yes, spy cars rule. And then he takes off and there's the little things like, it was just, I was so excited because that was something that I, as much as like say like some of the other older Bonds had some really ridiculous scenes. That's something I missed about the Bond movie. Yeah. The Craig universe was that it became almost so grounded in reality that we lost any of that fantasy spy aspect. Yeah. And it was just too reality based. And this was just enough that it was still believable that you could have a car that had stuff that shot out the back.
Was it trying to fly or something?
Yeah, right? Like it wasn't Vin Diesel.
Freaking laser beams or anything.
Flipping cars in...
Yeah, Fast and Furious is less believable than the James Bond movies.
Right? So, like that was just a really cool scene. Yeah. I was so excited. I was like, oh, we're in for a ride now. Like we're moving. And then it just grinded to a halt.
Well, we find out. So he's retired.
Because then we get a time jump.
Yeah. And it was 5 years later? Yeah. So then he's retired. He's off on an island somewhere living this great life all by himself. And because he says goodbye to his girlfriend because
he figures that she's Spectre.
So she sold him out. And he gets pulled back in from the CIA.
Felix
shows up and pulls him in. He also ends up finding a spy there who actually turns out to be the new 007. Mm-hmm. And she has taken on the mantle with that. So it's just
a number.
Yeah. He's on a little bit rogue on this one because he's getting pulled in, but he's not supposed to be. So then he gets pulled back into is it MI6?
Yeah.
It is MI6? Okay.
Well, he goes with the CIA because he doesn't trust MI6. Right?
Yeah. So then he ends up kind of talking to all of them, right? Yeah. And is trying to, it's related to Spectre and trying to get them out. Well, then, so we have this deadly virus, basically, the biologically imprinted virus that he's going to be trying to track down because the guy had turned it against him. It was supposed to just kill Bond at this party. It kills all the Spectre agents. It takes everyone out, which was pretty intense. I mean, we had to stop and explain what it all meant to Kiddo, and we're talking about it real quick, and it's like, this would be really terrifying. Like the concept
to your DNA
of what M
nanobots.
had. Yeah, that what M had was a great idea for assassin. Yeah, then less collateral damage. But in the wrong hands, like it always will be, it turns into something terrifying, right? Yeah. So that was what their problem is. They're trying to sweep it under the rug because it was off the books, and now this thing is out of control, right?
Yeah. So. And this then was my favorite other scene. This is my main scene, was when with the agent it was in Bali, wasn't it? Or no, it was Cuba. And after everyone's dead, now everyone's coming to attack and all that, and Bond's got his gun and he's just like going to town. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
It was so well shot. It was so beautiful, bloody action without blood.
There was some gruesome aspect to this.
Yeah.
Like it was raw,
Yeah.
So,
but like with him, with that gun on his hip, with the floodlight that came through and all that in the street, like it was just an amazing scene.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I was like, yes, we're back to the action. This is going to be amazing.
Right. And then, unfortunately though, of course, then things, they end up getting onto a boat, they get taken, and they think everything's going to be fine. Well, then they get double crossed by what they thought was a CIA agent, which was working with Felix, but then he turns into one of the bad guys. Mm-hmm. So everything goes from bad to worse, and Bond barely makes it out of there alive. I thought, I was like, this looks pretty hopeless. But unfortunately, Mr. Felix didn't make it, which was really heartbreaking. Yeah, for sure. Like, he was a good guy, and it was interesting to see Bond lose someone that was not a love interest then, right? And it kind of gave him that resolve to push to get back in and finish this. Yeah. Right. So it was helpful to see, because then he, instead of the woe is me and I'm sad and I'm heartbroken, it was like, oh, I'm going to finish this. I'm going to get this done. Yeah. So then he shows back up basically in London and was like, you're going to, he's angry. Yeah. So I think it was an interesting, it picked up some steam from there. Right. Yeah. Yeah. We then dive more into the romance between and Blankov. Blankov. It's a B. Field. Blyfield. Blum. Someone up there just screaming. They're just like, it's this, you fools. Blaufield. That's why you listen to it. Blofeld? For us to shred names like Calendar Man. Let's see who's right. It just sounded dirty. Can I say Blofeld a little bit more? Blofeld. I was close. Blofeld. Blofeld. Yeah. I was right. Christoph Waltz. He's awesome. I love him. You know what, though? At the same time, I'm going to say this, and this might... None of the villains really in the Craig universe have been that, like, memorable. Yeah. Like, except for Mads. Mads Mikkelsen was the only one. But it was because he broke his balls, though. That was the scene. Like, if he hadn't done that, if he hadn't, but he cried blood, man. Yeah. He was the most Bond of all the Bond villains. He had a gimmick. Yeah. And then he crushed his nuts. And I thought that this one was going to have more of a gimmick. Because of Rami Malek? But he had way too much of his time without the mask on. I barely remember him. I know. The movie was almost 3 hours long. And Rami Malek was in for 5 minutes? When he was there, though, he was scary. But he was very much at the end aspect of things, right? But he was not scary. He was creepy. He was creepy. He was never really terrifying. He never really did anything that was just like... I mean, other than the fact that he was okay with plant poisonous acid pools and stuff like that. He was crazy, but he wasn't... I don't know. He didn't have that I'm edge. Where's my maniacal laugh? Right. The villain. Because if you think back, the second one was the oil baron dude that just... And I don't see. Really, this is why it's not okay to just be oil baron dude, right? And that's not a good enough villain, because that's real world. Or oil baron dudes are in our real world. And then Skyfall was Javier Bardem, but he was still not super scary. No, yeah, right. I only remember him because I actually know his name. Right. I remember other parts and more about. I remember his introduction when he first meets him, and that's about it. And then the next one was Spectre. Yeah, and the Blofeld. Yeah. Right? But he was super weak. The climax to that was pretty tame. Yeah, it was more of the general conspiracy of Spectre. Right. Then, yeah. And so then... I love Daniel Craig. I think he had really good potential. I like him as Bond. Mm-hmm. But the stories were just not super strong, because we all know Katie's love of romance. And that's what we realized, too. Daniel Craig's entire series is based only around romance, whereas other Bond movies, yes, there's romance, but it's out of convenience. Yeah.
right?
Which it might be a sign of our times, right?
Oh, totally.
But I am okay with
a random shag.
Yes. Like, why is that? Why did we have to take that out of it?
But it's just interesting to think about, like, see that and be like, huh, like,
yeah,
you know, and that's where I almost wonder, like, I say that I think the Mission Impossible movies have been better Bond movies.
Yeah.
Than
there
the
is
Bond
no,
movies.
There's even no random shags in that. Like, there's actually relationships, and then.
And in the last one, there's like the last couple, there is no. Like,
because then he's realizing, well, shit, this does not work.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So that's why the random shags work, because he can't have attachment.
Yeah.
A super spy cannot have attachment.
But like there you go. If you want to also do it, the idea though, just like they're doing kind of more in Mission Impossible, where they're realizing that a relationship can't work, so he needs to cut it out and just save the world.
Yeah.
That's where they need to then look at writing if they go forward with any more Bond.
Mm-hmm.
Is it needs to be almost that if they want to make sure of keeping things more like sensitive to being not just using women.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And being like, well, no, I'm a spy.
Making a choice.
I don't.
Yeah.
I
made a choice that this is more important. I would rather make sure I protect the people that I have loved.
Yeah.
And the world in general. And that's the thing I'm missing, is I want him to love being a spy and everything that he is capable of doing to save the world. That's what I want.
Yeah. And you can tell this one here, he was getting old.
Yes.
Because there's no crazy actual stunts.
Yeah.
Like compared to some of the earlier ones that he was into.
Yeah.
Where it was just like there was a lot more like running. There was barely any running in this one.
Yeah.
It was
just the beginning.
Barely any fighting.
It was just beginning running, and that was it. Yeah.
There's barely any actual fist fights. It's all gun battles.
It's all gun battles.
And even that is far and few between.
Yeah.
That being said, I know I sound like I'm complaining a lot, but I did enjoy this one.
Yes.
I did enjoy this one. It is clearly the last Bond outing.
Yes.
For this universe.
Yes.
So I don't know if you haven't seen it, like earmuffed for a moment, but guess what? Bond dies at the end. We
were watching this and we're like, this feels like they're gonna kill him.
Yep.
Like, there's no other way around this, because if they don't, then what just happened doesn't. Like,
they should have irradiated him so that he could come back looking different.
You know what's interesting is that was my other way. Okay, this was the two ways it could go. Because in the first, scene, the little Madeline shoots him, and the guy, and what's his name? Rami comes back. What is his villain name? See?
Oh, I don't know.
This is terrible.
I don't even remember.
He doesn't have a villain name. It's like it's his full name, and that was the only problem. Okay, so we can't remember. Mask Man. Safin. He comes back to life. So then I thought...
Mustafar Safin.
So then I thought... So here he is around all these poisonous plants. And is he going to have something where then he gets, like, injected with some poison, or he's somewhere in there and he's going to get, changed so that when he does die, then he comes back? Like, that's what they're going to do? But that does seem a little extreme for the, reality grounding that they have done for him. They never explained how the character came back to life in the beginning. But I figured the more likely option was that they were just going to kill him.
Yeah.
And because the other thing, too, that gave it away was because he was actually okay and happy still with... He had been reinstated, but it was just to save Madeline, and he was still angry about all this stuff. But then, okay, now he has a daughter.
Yeah.
Now you don't. No, she's not actually yours, but she's your daughter, and she's not. Back and forth. Oh my goodness. But
now you're poisoned if you get too near.
But everything was too happy. But yeah, now now he's got this nanobot, so now he can't actually see her because now he's been poisoned with the stuff biologically programmed, which was pretty slick on the bad guy's view, too. Yeah. Because that was like torture worse than death, honestly, which is obviously why he, let himself go and save it. It was pretty... That was his most heroic choice, though. Mm-hmm. He finally chose to save the world over his own personal happiness. Yeah. But at the same time, it was because he couldn't have what he wanted. So it was like, well, got no other options. Guess I'm going to die.
I love the Heidi Ho arm movement with that one. You're just like, well, I guess I'm going to die.
So I appreciate what he was doing, that he really did care. Yeah. He was very much like, this is what has to happen. But and I think he probably would have done it even if he couldn't get off the island and be with them. But at the same time, it was still weird to see. Like, it fit the movie
Well, because it's the first time Bond's ever died in like 20
yeah,
movies,
so
right?
it was like, oh well, I guess he definitely. I mean, we already knew it was the end of his run, but still, then they can reboot it however they want, and it shows then how much of the American audience has really grabbed hold of the concept of James Bond rather than anything else.
Yeah,
right?
because you had how many years where people just accepted that they had new actors play Bond, and then suddenly, like, this was the one that was like, well, it's a reboot, it's younger Bond, and then it was like, well, he's not going to play him anymore, so now we got to kill him, because apparently we can't do the James Bond thing that we've done for 50 years anymore.
Like, what?
So...
So that was pretty shocking. Like I was more shocked is that I had no idea. It was a pleasant surprise to watch a movie so many more months later and not know.
Yeah.
I mean, now if you haven't seen it, now you know. But
whoopsie. Well, yeah.
We did give you a 10-second warning to put earmuffs on. Jeez.
Yeah. Jeez, and we didn't tell you how long it was going to be either in the description. So, but I had heard because Danny Boyle had left the film because he didn't like the direction that they wanted to go. They were going to do the one thing that he felt that couldn't be, and that was to kill Bond.
And that makes sense.
And so then that's why they got somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
Someone else was willing to do it.
Someone just sold their soul for it. I see how it is.
But at the same time,
just sign here on the line.
It makes sense, I guess, and now they're free to do whatever they want. They can go younger. They need to go younger. If they want any longevity, they need to cast
cut
younger.
out the relationships.
Yeah, and they should. They need to get back to something that I miss.
I want action. I want spy. I want kick-ass stunts.
Yeah, that's what I miss. I miss some of
random
the zaniness.
Come on,
the random zaniness that used to be from some of them, right? But out of everything, we showed Kiddo this, and we showed him some trailers from the old ones, and he was like, I kind of want to watch them all.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what happens, maybe.
Some of the trailer for Dr. No
was a recap. It sounded like a kid's report.
It was so terrible. It was like 5 minutes long, and it was Sean Connery saying this happened and then this
happened, like a diary,
and then this happened. Yeah, it sounded like him reading a diary, and it was a recap of the movie, and it was absolutely terrible trailer.
If I had seen that trailer, I would have never wanted to go see that movie.
No,
it made it look so boring.
It's like, oh my god, no, because
it wasn't a clip. It was like a full on trailer. It was like,
and the only times I really laughed and were like, this is awesome, was like the really bad derogatory towards women jokes. Like, because they were bad and they were just like innuendos out the wazoo, right? So, but yeah, we watched a trailer from every era, every Bond.
Yeah, at least one Bond from their first.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but we own the whole box set. Yeah. On disc, which is pretty awesome. And of course, then they're all on TV as well.
Especially right now, because everyone's like, watch Bond.
Right. So, and we showed him the trailer for Casino Royale, and it's so funny because I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh yeah, everything I liked about Daniel Craig movies, which I thought were actually in all of them, were all in Casino Royale. And then that's a really long movie with a lot of things actually happening. So I kind of want to watch it again. Yeah. Just to see a little bit of Radnisha for it. Yeah. And see if it really does still, like, we really enjoy it. Is it still going to be good only because we still compare it to the other ones? Mm-hmm. Or does it really stand out still? I
still hope. Because I still stand by, I think, Casino Royale, Skyfall, and this one actually are his better ones.
And I remember, like, as I say, because I really like his character, and I did like the development and the twist was with Vespa. I thought that was still interesting. I just wanted it to be done with, Yeah. And that's what I just didn't like the dragging on of things. But yeah, Kiddo's interested in it, which is always add extra ideas.
So it could be a random Bond.
When movie season's a little dry in the first couple months there of next year, I'm sure.
That's when they're all going to be hitting on demand for us to catch up on all the things that we've been missing.
That is true, yeah.
Because we still haven't even gone and saw the Eternals yet. So, but yeah, No Time to Die. It's a worthy end to Daniel Craig's Bond. If you've enjoyed his run, I'm sure you'll get a kick out of it if you haven't already seen it. It just showed up on demand, like a premiere access on demand. Mm-hmm. Kind of feel. So it's still a little bit more. But it was still for almost 3 hours. It was a pretty good pretty good movie.
I never felt like, oh my God, when is it going to end at least?
Yeah.
It was long, but it wasn't like mind-numbing long.
Now, the next movie wasn't this long, but felt that long. So this is Netflix's biggest movie to date.
Yeah.
This is The Rock, Ryan Reynolds, and Gail Gadot in, I gotta say this right because I said it wrong when we were talking about it earlier, Red Notice. So 3 major movie stars in a Netflix movie that was under 2 hours.
And felt like 4.
Yeah. And I'm unfortunate to say this, like we'll go into it more deeply, but and then we're going to go into some spoiler alert because I don't really care. But
because you can deal with it.
I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
I was bored. Honestly, I was bored.
I played Animal Crossing throughout it.
I was really sad about it because I was really excited.
Because I love The Rock. I love Ryan Reynolds. Like, I figured, how can we not like this? It's a spy action movie. Like, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Now, we may have jinxed it because usually when we've been watching Dwayne Johnson's movies, we've been drinking Terramana with it. So maybe that has
the lack of tequila.
Maybe that has made us enjoy Dwayne's movies recently.
The Rock, if you're listening, send us tequila. We will positively enjoy your movies. Everything will be good.
We'll go back and watch Red Notice.
And it'll be like best movie ever.
Yeah.
Because we were drinking tequila.
Yeah, that's what we're missing. That's what we're missing. Because, I just realized the last one we watched too, we had tequila with it. Mm-hmm. We had a margarita.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nothing like making sure alcohol made your movies better, but hey.
No. But like, it's not a bad movie. It just feels long because it goes to so many places in such a short time.
Yeah.
And every scene feels the same.
Yeah. Because it's not terrible. Like, I don't feel like it was a complete waste of everything. There was I like the twist in it. I like the story development. Like the final twist I didn't see coming at all, which was cool.
Yeah.
And I still like the way they deliver their lines and the banter back and forth. My only concern, of course, is it really does show how much The Rock and Ryan Reynolds are really just their, like, the Ryan Reynolds is always Deadpool now.
Yeah.
That's just his character. And he plays it really well, but he
was less Deadpool and Free Guy than he was in this.
And this was, so I know that they can be a little bit more than what they were in this one. It was very generic feeling for them. I enjoyed the Egyptian history portion of
when it started. I was like, I hit the wrong movie? It sounded like a really boring documentary, and I was like, oh,
what is happening here, right?
This is also directed and written by the guy that did Skyscraper, which is also not my favorite Mr. DeRock's.
Yes, okay, then that explains a lot right there.
So
kind of, boringness. So it was, it kind of ended up kind of going back and forth and a little too many, and then this is happening and then this is happening. But as I say, I almost enjoyed the semi, I don't know how much of it is true, but the history aspect of things. I mean, that's what I love about my books that I read that are this style. When you have things that are like semi-grounded in reality, is learning about that and wondering, because they had the Egyptian history. They even had some of the Nazi history. So that type of concept, that was actually what I remember most from this movie.
And you know what too? That was they had the Cleopatra's third egg. Yeah. And that's what they were searching for.
And I like, they have, because they're art thieves, and the creating of the fake second egg to be able to steal it, and like the cons back and forth, like that's super fun.
It started out pretty strong.
Yeah, like I do like those scenes, right?
Yeah, there's some good scenes in it, but it was almost 2 hours. I feel like it could have been cut down a bit. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of sloppy CG. Yeah, there was the bull scene is bad.
That could have completely been cut.
Bad. Like, I was really surprised that you could like almost see the green lines around them.
Yeah, like that should have just been cut completely. It was a complete waste of movie time.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I honestly don't even know if I would recommend it. If someone's like, hey, what do you think of Red Notice? You gotta have to really be a Ryan Reynolds rock fan to forgive some
and
of the...
I am a big fan.
Like,
and I still am like, yeah, I don't care to ever watch it again.
Yeah, right. And I think that's a sign of do you recommend a movie?
Yeah, because it should be just a fun action thriller.
Yeah, it should be. I almost feel like if I'm going to recommend a movie, I should be like, yeah, I'll sit down and watch it with you.
Yeah.
I'm willing to take my time to rewatch it and sit with you and watch it.
Yeah.
And this is one I would not do that. Well, because
say with Bond, as much as we can kind of complain about the series overall and there's issues, I would rewatch it again.
Oh yeah. I would gladly.
I still enjoy
as long as you bring beer, I will sit down and watch it with you.
If you bring tequila, I might consider watching Red Notice again.
So one thing though that's funny with the movie is that The Rock actually drinks Terramana, and Ryan Reynolds actually drinks avian gin, and it is clear. And the scene where he drinks his gin, the bottle actually turns
to make sure you can see the label.
In quite a few of those scenes where it's like where you're like, the continuity dude should have caught this, because the bottle label is always out, even though the camera is coming from different angles, and it always turns.
So that was marketing product placement at its finest, right?
So,
and people like Mike will always catch up on that.
Yeah, and you know what? Gladly, Ryan Reynolds, if you want to bring some gin over, we will rewatch it, and I will see what happens.
Hey,
see if you can change my mind.
You can do that here, by the way. I mean, you're close enough. Figure it out. I'm not a gin fan.
You're not gonna watch it with Katie, because too many things will go wrong. I will drink your gin up your body where it falls.
Truth. You said it. I did not.
I just knew where you were thinking.
Yo, okay.
I could see it in your eyes.
Yeah.
They were like the anime star eyes.
Sorry, Gal Gadot doesn't have any liquor for you.
I'll drink Terramana off the rock. I'm man enough to say it.
It's because it's the tequila. Some good ass tequila.
I haven't tried the gin, so I can't go there. But I thought that was really weird to see.
Yeah.
So,
So the ending leaves it so that they could actually have a sequel.
Yes.
Now, with it being such a big opening, I can assume there probably will be a sequel. Yeah. And I don't trust at all that it's going to be better. Let's be honest.
I hope it could. I you know what? As much as I didn't like the first one, I have hope that the sequel could be better, because now they're a team.
True.
Unless they decide to sequel bloat it and add more people.
I'm worried about that.
And, yeah,
that could be.
But if they do, my pitch is they get Hugh Jackman in there.
Yes.
So you can have the scene where The Rock is having his Terramana, Ryan Reynolds is having his avian gin, and Mr. Jackman is drinking his Laughing Man coffee. It writes itself.
It does.
Right? And that's
what and the Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds always have a back and forth thing too, right? Yeah. So Hugh, this needs to happen.
It's just going to be a giant pissing match.
Yeah.
About,
You can you can play on either side. You can join part of their team. You can be a rival, or you can be the person trying to take them down.
Take them down right there.
I'm cool with that.
Because that makes sense with the coffee.
It would be pretty fantastic if you could be trying to take them down.
Yeah.
It could be like a not Wolverine. Like, I like it.
Because they're all playing themselves in some manner, so that it
really is just them.
It's going to be the Deadpool versus Wolverine movie that we never got.
Oh my God, make it happen!
So, with coffee.
It'd be a good time all around.
Right.
We just set this all up for you. Just make it happen.
And then we'll also take a bag of coffee, because, why not? We like coffee. We're drinking it in our beer. So, I don't even know where I'm going with this.
It's the most Canadian thing ever. Coffee and beer all together.
Laced in maple syrup.
Yes. Anyways, that's Red Notice.
Yeah, you know, yeah,
I like her dress.
yeah. That dress was nice.
You know what? I've realized though, any action like spy movie, they always wear these really high cut dresses, and it's so they can do high kicks, and they can be action stars. I love it.
No, that wasn't that.
James Bond is like that. Mission Impossible is like
James Bond in the James Bond movie. The lady's wearing a high dress, and she kicks a guy in the face, and Kiddo said,
Oh,
"Well,
yeah. Oh,
that man got an interesting view."
As he died, was what he said. That's what he leans over and tells me. And Mike's like, what? I was like, I said, yeah, he just said that man had a really interesting view as he died.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God.
So
He that was one of my best commentaries from him.
no.
Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah. So Red Notice.
Guess if you're gonna die, staring up a woman's dress is one way to do it.
Red Notice. If it's you know, it's kind
my whole beer.
It's kind of there. It just wasn't enough amazement for me to say to go watch it.
Yeah.
But if you are fans of those two, it might be your cup of tea.
Yeah.
It's not your cup of beer, but it's your cup of tea. So there's another movie that showed up on Netflix, and believe it or not, even after the debacle of what we just watched, and we're like, should we try another Netflix original? I was like, you know what? There's enough Netflix originals that are showing up on my list that we should totally do it. So this one here was 2 hours and 19 minutes. So after, you know,
I'd forgotten.
3-hour movie.
I'd forgotten. And we're like, oh God, what have we gotten ourselves into?
A 3-hour movie, and then, you know, what felt like a 4-hour movie. I'm like, sure, why not? You know, not on the same night though. We decided to check out The Harder They Fall. It is Western with Jonathan Majors, Zazie Beetz,
Idris Elba.
And many more. There's a lot of people in this one.
What's night? Not night. I can't remember her name.
Who? Oh, Regina King.
Regina King.
Damon Wayans Jr. is in it.
I thought so.
RJ Seiler is in it. He was
from Atlanta.
The Blue Ranger in the Power Ranger reboot.
Oh.
He was Beckworth. Edie, I can't say his last name. He was Bill Pickett. And yeah, the guy from Atlanta.
I like him. A lot.
Lakeith Stanfield.
Yeah, I really like him.
So
he kind of reminds me of like a serious version of it's one of the comedians that was in Robin Hood Men in Tights. That's all I can think of.
Are you thinking of Chappelle?
Yeah. He actually, that's the way he reminds me of a serious version of him.
Really?
I forgot. He's so young.
Don't even.
In Men in Tights, like young Chappelle. Huh. Yes. Yeah.
So James Samuel is the director of that.
So this is a full like gritty Western revenge stylized very much so. So it basically starts Jonathan Majors as a kid. Some stranger shows up at his house, kills his father and his mother, and then gives him this scar. And that's all you get from that. And you jump ahead. He plays Nat Love, runs his own gang. I think the credits are great because it introduces the actors, telling you who they play.
Yeah.
Also setting it up almost like a playbill. That's what it kind of felt like. It's like, here's the Nat Love gang. Here's the actors.
The Buck gang.
And here's the characters. Here's the Buck gang. Idris Elba plays Buck. And I thought that was a really cool way of setting that up, is that you get a real sense of who's, and you see their picture of them, so you get a real sense of who's who already, right?
Yeah.
And so you have them, Regina King is treacherous Trudy.
Yeah.
They stop this train to break Buck out of they're doing a prison transfer.
Yeah.
And they break him out.
But he's being broken out, but he has a full pardon.
He has a full pardon, which was interesting. Their whole gang got a pardon for basically taking out the troop of soldiers that were transferring him because they were apparently
a stain on the American government.
Yeah, the government was so embarrassed to have them because they were killing people and being terrible. And so basically they gave these criminals pardons to take them out, which was pretty brutal. But so that was a really interesting scene. It was really dramatic and stylized. And so we basically have these rival gangs trying to, in these different towns. The Buck gang is very scary and serious. He's basically created the Redwood City, was it? The city, he's running it and taking it over and taking advantage of people. But he's trying to create his own town. And so there was some pretty brutal.
The action is phenomenal.
Yeah, like it, and the gunfights that they do have are just amazing.
Yeah.
Very, very well acted. Like it was a artwork.
Yeah.
It was using film as artwork.
Yeah. This one, out of everything we watched this week, was my favorite. Mm-hmm. And even though at the point we paused at one point and to get some food, some popcorn and stuff, and I was like, there's still an hour left.
Yeah.
How is this going to go for an hour? And then
it just went by.
And then it went by.
It was like, it really, because it took a lot to set all the characters up to really give some credence to their situation, but it just didn't feel like there could be an hour left. And
then that last hour just blew by. Right? Like it was just fast.
Yeah. And there was humor in it in the way they were delivered. It was very emotional ending. The final battle was very emotional. It wasn't clear cut. You know, it even got to that point where like, I don't quite know who you want to win and lose and who's going to, people are going to die on both sides.
I didn't expect anyone to live, honestly.
Yeah,
I was like at that point where I was like, they all going to die.
Well, and it's interesting to see though that as much as there was satisfaction on, say, Nat's side, there wasn't. Mm-hmm. And I love that it showed that he was still tortured. It didn't solve all of his problems with everything, right? So
I think the idea that it was proof, though, that revenge doesn't solve anything.
Yeah. And you never know the other side of the story. Mm-hmm. So it had there was a lot of layers and depth in the emotional.
Like, this is one of those ones where, like, I don't want to spoil it because I want you to go watch it. Yeah. Because this was a far superior film out of most of the things we saw. Yes. This week, because
this was good quality everything.
Like, it is bloody. It is interesting.
It is harsh. For sure.
There was a couple scenes that actually were kind of hard to watch with the violence because it was just like, it was intense. Yeah. But so well put together that, it was interesting. Like, it was just an interesting film to watch. Yeah. And I was engaged the entire time. I never felt bored.
Yeah, we didn't play video games or anything in the middle of it. We actually sat and watched the movie.
It was like, I didn't even look at my phone for those 2 hours. Yeah. Like,
2.5 hours.
Yeah, right. Like, it literally, like, I was just like, yes, I'm in this, like, in it.
Well, you know what's nice too is because, as I said, the opening credits, and then the way they really gave each character their own personality. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when you have, there was like 8 people that were characters of the game.
The ensemble cast, right?
They didn't blur together though. Mm-hmm. It was very much, you knew who each person was. You never weren't sure, or they never blurred together. They were each very individual characters. Yeah. And I thought that was really cool because sometimes when you do that, it can be a little too much and they blur together. Yeah. But it was very clear who was who and what, you learn their names. It did a good job of setting that all up. So they all had their very good skills. Pros and cons about their characters on both sides. Like it was really well done.
Yeah. I highly recommend it because it was really good. Yeah. Like not that it's odd to say that was my favorite of it, but it was like, I wanted to watch this when I saw the trailer, but like I was excited more for Red Notice and Time to Die. Yeah. And then it was like, no, this is like, I would watch this again. Yeah. Like out of everything that we watched this week, Home Sweet Home Alone and The Harder They Fall are the two that I would be more apt to be like, I'm going to watch these again. Yeah. Right?
I loved the sets in The Harder They Fall too. Mm-hmm. Their towns were and this was a I think, a cultural commentary as well, because so all the characters are African American.
Yeah.
And but there is commentary on racism in it as well. And on a cultural side, because in general, their architecture and their buildings are much more bright and colorful in their culture. And all their towns that they had in this were bright and colorful, and they were gorgeous buildings. And so in one of the scenes, they actually have to go rob a bank.
To an all-white.
To a white town.
Yeah.
And what was interesting is it wasn't just that everyone in the town was Caucasian. The buildings were all whitewashed.
The sand was white.
Everything about it was
their outfits were bland.
Yeah.
Like,
it was an interesting commentary on it. You know, and it was so stark, such a difference. You could definitely tell it was like they stepped into a different world, right? So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, it was...
Because even when they go in there, she's wearing a red dress and no one's wearing red. It's just brown and black.
Yes,
and
they're very bland
and white.
Yeah, so it's there's all these different symbolisms in everything, right? So, but yeah, highly recommended. I can't recommend it enough, actually.
Jonathan Majors is really coming out to be a pretty good actor between Lovecraft Country and then his Kang, because he'll be showing up as Kang in Ant-Man.
Oh yeah, that'll be interesting. I forgot about that, because then we turned around and watched SNL.
Yeah, and he was on there.
And he was on there, so it was a whole Jonathan Majors night. And he kept talking about Ant-Man, and I couldn't remember why he was in Ant-Man at all. So there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be interesting.
So he's very, very energetic man.
Yes.
Especially seeing him on SNL. Like he had a lot of like exuberance to his persona as a being compared to how he's played such calm and collective characters all the time.
Yeah.
Right. So
he was just very, very jumpy, and he did a great job in SNL.
Yeah, he did have some pretty good scenes in there.
Some really good scenes. So
this season of SNL has been pretty good so far.
Yeah, there hasn't been like, oh wow, that was a waste of 90 minutes.
You know, like 45 once you get to the commercials.
It is not 45 minutes
it's
long.
45 minutes long.
It's
they
an
tell
hour.
you it's 90 minutes, but it's 45
It's an
minutes
hour.
once you take those commercials out. Well, it's 45 minutes when we fast forward through some of the musical acts.
Yeah, which we usually do. But,
yeah. So we usually, There's very few that we watch.
We actually had a few that we would actually like. The Ed Sheeran was really interesting.
Yeah.
We watched the 10-minute Taylor Swift song because it was
mesmerizing.
You couldn't stop watching it. It wasn't
bad. It was
art. Like, she's a great artist. I think she has really talent. But it was 10-minute story.
Yeah.
There was no chorus. It was just a 10-minute verse.
Yeah.
Which that in itself is like, holy crap, you're an amazing artist for remembering the lyrics.
Right? Yeah.
For a 10-minute song.
Yeah.
That's all
not
different.
repetitive.
Like,
right?
Holy crap. So kudos to Taylor Swift.
Right.
So yeah, that's all sorts of fun things.
Yeah, so The Harder They Fall on Netflix, definitely check that out. And if you got kids and family and you want to start the Christmas season, Home Sweet Home Alone. And if you don't mind 3 hours of Bond, No Time to Die. That's the order that I'd watch them in.
Yeah.
And
don't forget Olaf Presents The Little Mermaid.
Yeah, watch that before you watch Red Notice.
Yes. Please go support Disney Plus. The Netflix Red Notice doesn't need any more help.
No. But yeah, so that was our week.
If you are gonna do it, drink tequila.
Or gin. It might make it better. And then tell us if it did.
Yep.
I would like to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we almost added Army of Thieves on because it was the Thieve episode, because there's a lot of thieving going on in this. But we ran out of time this week.
So we'll tack that in some other time.
Some other time. I don't know what's going to start, but I know around the 26th of November.
That's when Christmas
starts. So we're starting to compile all those Hallmark moments for our Christmas season.
You know what? I think last year we tried to watch Hallmark movies and we just couldn't do it.
Hey, you know what? There is actually a Hallmark movie coming out that could be worth watching.
Okay, lay it on me.
It does star Bruce Campbell.
That might be what
that could suck me in.
The only Hallmark movie Mike watches, Bruce Campbell. Yeah.
So I don't know. I might have to break that, and because it's Bruce. It's the king.
It's not a Hallmark movie. It's a Bruce Campbell movie.
But yeah, so I don't know what next week will bring. Who knows what we find? If there'll be a theme or if it just be a random schmozzle
We'll
of
see what's there.
cinematic gold dust.
The problem is we have a lot of TV coming up too. Like we'll have He-Man and stuff like that.
That's on the 23rd.
I know, but we'll have like other things.
Hey, Netflix tells you that He-Man's coming next week, but next week is not the 23rd.
It's really
now I guess it is.
It's really bothering Mike. He's like, have you figured it out that it's not next week yet?
It was on the thing last week, and it said coming next week, and I got all excited thinking that He-Man was going to be there next week on the weekend. I'm like, woo, He-Man. And then I looked at the calendar, and I was like, that is the 23rd. That is more than a week away.
Now it's next week, but yeah. It's,
well, now that the episode dropped, now it's a full week, so now I sound crazy.
Yeah.
Because the episode drops a couple days
But this was happening the few days before, so yeah.
Yeah. And then Hawkeye drops on the 24th.
Yes.
Right? So then there's 2 episodes dropping for that. So that's going to be a busy weekend of joy. There'll be no Christmas movies where I'm just told you guys there will be Christmas movies because we'll be watching He-Man and Hawkeye around the 26th. So Christmas will start after.
No, we're just going to make sure we watch one He-Man movie episode a weekend.
Don't listen to her. She talk cray-cray. And there will no longer be a co-host. Did you say that? Did you really say that to her face?
Oh, I said it to her face.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that's not happening. We're watching it as an entire movie again.
I 100% agree.
Because that was an amazing experience.
It was.
Hey, did you know that we're actually watching the 2K He-Man?
We are.
We're already on the 3rd volume, which we were lucky enough to have our good friend Jessimus Prime. Jesse, he was on the show.
He saved us.
Good guy. Great guy.
Yeah.
So good.
One of the best.
Yeah, totally in our corner. He's looking out for us.
You feel loved yet, Jesse?
He let us borrow it because we didn't have volume 3, so we were able to watch that.
Kiddo was really enjoying it.
Yeah, so I think that maybe with the Revelations, maybe we'll be finished.
Yeah.
The 20K by that point. 2K, not 20K.
I was gonna say 20K.
Yeah, I just jumped like in the future.
Damn.
And time hopped.
But yeah, he's really enjoying it, which is really. He's like, I really like this show, man.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's cool. I'm happy for you.
So maybe we'll regale our feeling of the series.
Yes, definitely.
With that, and maybe it'll be a whole He-Man episode.
Yes.
He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Just because you can hear that again, because I know that was spine tingling for all of you.
So basically, the crux of the summary.
Where were we going?
We don't know what the hell's happening in the future. There's gonna be cool shit.
That's right. That's exactly what I said.
Exactly.
So,
thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
And remember, stay rad, dudes.